Hello, you lovely 44 teeth viewers. Now, while the hierarchy, the bosses, the men with the money and the influence are off in, I think, Morocco it is, I'm here in Majorca to test Triumph's new Speed Twin. Now, because I think it's more of a poser's than a scratcher's bike, I've dressed appropriately in the old jeans, trendy jacket, and I've even grown the fashionable goatee, so I look the part. I'm going to ride it tomorrow, and I'll be in touch with you to tell you what I reckon.
Oh, there it is. Bloody hell, this is a sharp corner.
So Mossy, Speed Twin, give us a shimmy. What is it?
Well, shall I tell you what I thought it was and what it actually turned out to be?
Yes, because I thought initially, it was going to be just another one of these sort of a very light revision of Triumph's sort of bits and bobs and what a frame and an engine, and they just gone, right, okay, that'll make it good. Yeah. But it's very different then.
Do you know what? They tried to big it up as being a new bike, but it's essentially a fancy Thruxton R.
Right.
It's lighter, it's higher spec, it's a better bike than that.
Okay.
But there's no getting away from the fact that it is based quite a bit on that bike. No bad thing. Now, I went there thinking this is just a bit of a pose mobile. This is for these boys who just want to cruise up and down the King's Road. And they don't mind if it doesn't handle very well or if it's a bit sort of wobbly or doesn't quite work or the brakes are a bit average or it hasn't got much power. And do you know what? It came in two stages actually. I set off on it and we did about 30 miles and got to a coffee stop. And I thought, you know what? That's great. That works really well. But I don't know, there's just something missing. It hadn't come to me, you know. Anyway, then by the time we got out at the coffee stop, the temperature was up a bit and we started riding a bit faster, and time and the route was a proper special route, man. Windier than the windiest road you've ever been on in your life. I'll tell you, top place to ride a bike like this.
That's where Jorge Lorenzo's from, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And that's how Triumph cleverly sort of exposed the bike's best feature.
Okay.
Let us warm the tyres before doing battle. Makes the TT look safe, this place, I'll tell you. It's damp, there's Armco, there's cliffs, there's drops. Well, I have to say, on this bit of the road, this thing does everything Triumph said it would. Listen, steers nicely, because it's light, it's easy to do that. You swap directions, like the brakes, suspended nicely. I'm getting a bit more feel now as well, because first thing this morning it was too cold for the tyres to feel, well, to get much feedback from them, but now I seem to know what's going on. Good route. Oh, you fucker. I mean, I'm changing gear a bit here when I don't need to. This is not a powerful motor. It only makes about 96 horsepower, which by today's big bike standards isn't much at all. But the best thing is it's just got tons of meat. So you don't need to rev it. You don't need to do what I'm doing and change down too many gears. It just sort of pulls like so. Yeah, definitely big gear, low RPM, but still drive forward strongly type motorbike. Bit of a diesel. Sounds nice as well, actually. Yeah, sporting inclination, I'd describe this thing as having.
Do you know what? The press conference in the morning, old Miles Perkins gets up and gives it like, this is the finest bike you'll ever ride, and this is why. And he goes, do you know what? I'll quote him.
Yeah.
A new standard for handling, he said. And I'm going, yeah. Come on, just give us the key. Let's get on with it. I don't think he bigged it up enough. What a lovely thing to ride through corners. Properly good. Do you know what? I can't remember the weight off the top of my head. Light enough, but I think it's got light wheels, you know, which they did go on about, and it makes a massive difference to the way it steers.
We'll put the weight here, okay?
Listen, the feel was more important, and it just feels proper agile and flickable. And do you know what? I shouldn't have worn that kit. I should have put some one-piece leathers on with sliders.
Really? Could you get your knee down?
Oh, man, definitely.
Really?
Proper bike. I mean, I don't know why I didn't doubt it, really. A Thruxton works well. I mean, I rode one... I don't know, did I do laps at Landau?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. On a Thruxton?
With fast bikes. Yeah, I remember I was there.
Did I ride that bike on track, though?
I think you did.
It was one of those bikes where you just wanted a bit more power, but like this Speed Twin, thought, do you know what? A bit more power might sort of spoil the balance a bit here.
Yeah.
And that was a good feature. It doesn't make a ton of peak power. It's in the 90s somewhere. But it makes a ton of torque, and it's always there. So you don't have to feed it gears. You don't have to feed it revs. You just open the throttle and off it goes. And it's super friendly. It's easy to ride fast in a sort of very unhurried fashion, you know. It just like flows. It's lovely.
Yeah.
But I think if it had more power, it might spoil that balance. And because it doesn't have a ton of power, you have to sort of search for your speed more in the corners. And it gives you that, and it gives you loads of reward for doing it. It's a rider's bike, you know.
Yeah.
You can't... I think there's tons to be said about lesser powered bikes sometimes, you know. Stuff that you can just do that on all the time. It's like cheating.
Yeah.
You have to work for your speed on this a bit. But it will come. And do you know what? In the afternoon, I just sort of went, bloody hell, what a lovely motorbike. Really quite endearing, you know. It got under my skin a bit.
Okay.
I'd definitely like to ride one a bit more in the UK.
Fucking hell, man, you're fucking slow. For a test of a Triumph Speed Twin... hang on. I just finished with this corner first. Yeah, for a test of a Triumph Speed Twin 1200 in Majorca, this is thorough. Listen, it's definitely got sporting intent, this thing. More than this fucking bloke has in front of me. Let's get him. I have to do him mid-corner. This bloody bike handles very well. I reckon it pays to just calm down a bit on this thing. I'll tell you, man, it's the biz. When it's right over on its ear, it's still feeling totally composed. Totally. Oof, look at that, would you now? My God! Fantastic! And that road down there is the one we shall be on in seconds. Well, hopefully. Fucking hell, incredible views! Incredible! Fucking hell, man, what a road!
Time will tell, and as with all these launches, because you're having a good time here doesn't mean to say it's going to transfer just as well to the UK. But I went from sort of feeling a bit so-so about it first thing to sort of wanting one of these for a few months back in the UK now. I mean, super stylish, but works a treat. I mean, ace steering, great brakes, suspension sort of on the firmer side of the setup, you know, firm rather than super plush and comfy, but proper control, decent tyres. It's a scratcher's delight. I think you could surprise a lot more powerful bikes. Listen, this is a very specific road network they've got here.
like I say, it's cornering heaven. You're forever on your side. But just when, you think the footrest's going to touch the tarmac, which I don't think it's ever going to do short of a crash, the bike just stays perfectly on line, super composed. One of the best things about it, if it wasn't for you, it's all right. Just jogging, don't get a monk on.
Whether going up a long sort of open air road might make you feel you could do with a bit more power, because there's nothing to stimulate you like a bit of a rush.
A lot of these launches, you get these amazing places, and you go, yeah, this is brilliant, and you get back to the UK and you go, well, the A3 isn't really cutting it, is it?
Yeah. Listen, there's more to this bike than just the way it performs.
Yeah.
And it's been built to satisfy the bloody viewer. And it does. It's a lovely looking thing, and if you get into the nitty gritty, it's very, very nicely built. 10.5 grand, right, for the black one, and 11 for the two-tone ones. I think there's red and grey. I can't remember. I didn't ride them. Probably did, can't remember. That doesn't strike me as a load of money.
Not in today's sense. There's no way. No, I mean, there's a lot of... The thing is, well, we talked about it off camera, but Triumph now is a premium brand. No matter what anyone says, the bikes they're building, yes, they build some budget stuff, but most of the stuff now is premium. The fixings, the quality of finish... is definitely as good as any.
It's for a discerning motorcyclist, isn't it?
And as well, I was chatting to someone from Ducati, who remain nameless, on a Ducati launch recently. They were saying how impressed they were with Triumph's kit, and how that no one else is really doing what Triumph and Ducati are doing in terms of that, just the little finishes and the nuts and bolts and the fixings. It's
important, isn't it? That sort of last 2/10 in terms of quality and effort and design. I think it shows, it's a lovely motorbike to look at, to ride, and probably to own, Yeah, I think you can do a bit of boasting. If you say I've got a Speed Twin 1200, people are going to go, oh, they're going to rate you. No, honestly, I think it really... I warmed to it hugely by the end of the day. I mean, I was two people, after 20 miles, it was like, yeah, right, okay. And then it was like, well, actually. And then it was like, well, actually, this is all right. And then it was like, I'll tell you, man, you do not touch anything down unless you're willing to crash. Listen, I didn't have my sliders on, and I wasn't at home.
Really? What, there's enough ground clearance?
Proper, no, none of that scraping. This is much more than a poser's motorbike,
Because I looked at it, and initially, we talked about before the launch, let's grow a beard, and but I tell you what, there's a 50-50 split. There's 50% will go, yeah, I like that bike because it looks good. And there's 50%, probably a bit less, that will go, yes, that is a proper bike, I'm going to ride it.
Definitely.
And it's not just your archetypal, what's the word I'm looking for?
Poser's bike?
A hipster thing.
It's
not.
Well,
that.
Listen, grow your beard by all means, but it's a fast beard if you fancy, No, honestly, you can get a move on.
So let's get back to basics then. Essentially, it is the Thruxton R motor, that 1200.
The bike. I'd say the bike.
Okay, so the same frame, the same chassis.
It's 10 kilos lighter than a Thruxton and 7 kilos less than a Thruxton R.
Okay, that's a hefty old chunk, isn't it?
And it's got more power as well.
Yeah.
It's not maybe got a spec you can boast about, and the suspension, like in spec at least, is a bit basic.
Yeah.
The brakes, similarly, but they all work, and they all work well together. Listen, Pete Ward, do you know him, ex-Superstock racer?
Yeah.
Part of the development team. I said to him at the end of the day, mate, done a proper job there. Listen, he whizzes round Bruntingthorpe, that bumpy, horrible, godforsaken place with a great calf. He rides in whatever weather.
Yeah.
And it's
ice,
very
snow.
It's very representative of a Brit environment.
Yeah,
Listen, it's built in Thailand, this bike,
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. A lot of stuff's machined in Hinckley, but it's shipped over there. I don't know how that works really, but the bean counters have decided it works well enough. But Pete has been involved with that final testing. He's the guy who shapes the final product, and that's off to Pete Ward. And he did a good job of taking us around Majorca, actually.
Good lad, Pesky, yeah.
He didn't let us get too daft.
I really wish I'd come in my leathers. I want to get my knee down. I know it would be so easy. It handles superbly well. Can't really vouch for all the sort of sensible things like the comfort. They've gone on about the seat being spectacularly plush. Can't vouch for that. I haven't been on it long enough. Got a bit windy this morning, as you'd expect, with a crucifix riding position and the wind battering you at about 100 mile an hour. But it's by no means hard work to ride it. I mean, the footrests, despite the fact they don't clatter off the floor, they're sort of quite low. I don't know, it's just a relaxed setup, and as I say, very relaxing to make good heady progress on as well. Sounds great, looks the part, like the brakes, like the suspension. The only thing I don't like, and that's because I'm a bit fussy about these things, being a former London dispatcher, is the steering lock's a bit naff, which surprises me because everything else feels so sorted.
I've got to say, I know we've talked about it briefly, but it looks incredible.
Bloody lovely.
It looks absolutely stunning.
Yep.
In terms of a custom retro, whatever you want to call it,
yep.
Modern retro, that is simple. The lines are incredible. I like what they've done with the colours. It just looks boss. And
it's authentic, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's ape in the past, but with a lot of modern touches. It's not just show; it's go as well.
I'm surprised at that. I'm genuinely shocked.
No, I was.
Yeah,
I was.
I've got to say, I'm looking forward to the next Thruxton range then, if that's what they've done.
Oh man, good, good. You should look forward to it.
Yeah.
And book a track day or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We were pushing them a bit and saying, are you going to make an R then, with some fancy suspenders and brakes? Like they were saying, well, not yet, It's probably being built right now, isn't it? Or the final touches are being scribbled. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a big hit. It's part of their classic range.
Yep.
What's it called? Classic?
Modern retro.
Modern classic.
Modern classic.
I don't know. There's probably another term for it if you work for the boys in Hinckley. They are the best-selling bikes that Triumph make.
Yeah.
And you can see why. Listen, the Tiger, great. I enjoyed that in Morocco, but there's something a bit more. It's a bit more Triumph. It's a bit. I don't know, thinking of their typical customers, I think it's going to serve more of those than something like a Tiger would,
Okay.
See it doing all right. It's got traction control and a couple of map. 3 years development. Talk to the punters to help with that. Some of the lightest wheels on the market, he said.
A what?
It's got channeling in the seat for comfort. I just have to sort of look slightly different for that. Have I got time to just put a jacket on very quickly and do that? At 10 seconds, that's all I was supposed to do.